Let's talk about building this 18-inch wide Death Star style wall panel I have here. I started out by modeling it up and making it the dimensions I needed. My wall is 85 inches tall. You see here I have it at 83 inches. It's because that 1-inch spacer that you saw in the first picture is actually going to have one at the top and the bottom as well. I designed up 4 different size slots, each incrementing up by 3 inches from the second to the fourth one. I'm only using the first 3 sizes, and here's how it modeled up, not counting the 1-inch spacer that'll be at the top and the bottom. You'll see that I did a 1-inch spacer in between the shortest slots and the middle section of the panel. And I also made each of the half slot sections shelled out to save material, even though I did not do that on the 3 and 6 inch spacers. The intention is the 3 and 6 inch spacers here, along with the locking pins, will allow me to use my plastic welding gun to weld it together and give me more surface area to work with. Here's all my pieces. I needed to do a little bit of cleanup on the faces. These are all printed face down on my glass build plate. I have a 400 by 400 printer, so I was able to print actually 4 of the half slots at a time, which made it a little quicker, but it was still a little over 2 weeks of printing. The locking pins are printed 0.1 millimeter undersized, which is still a snug fit for what I'm doing. I call them a locking pin. They're more of an alignment pin, because if you build this too big without welding it together in some fashion, the pins will still give way under the weight. This has about 3 spools of plastic in the entire build, even with hollowing out all of the half slot pieces. So what is it, 2.2 pounds per, so this thing is close to 5 pounds finished, I think. I used the locking pins here with just a little bit of sanding to lock it in place, and you can see my welding gun there with the little plastic they're not plastic, the welding nails to weld plastic. If you've never used one of these, the metal heats up under the trigger of the gun and then it melts right into the plastic. Works really well. You should be wearing a respirator when doing this, because you're melting plastic and it is putting off fumes that are not good for you. Someone mentioned when I did a short about this on how much sanding I'd have to do, and I agreed with them. I knew that was going to be in my future. Anyone who 3D prints anything knows that if you want a nice clean surface, you're going to have to sand. And as I stated earlier, this is 85 inches tall, I believe, is the finished height, without going back and looking at the dimension. I'm going to build it in 2 sections, top and a bottom, because this is going to be temporarily affixed to where I want it. I plan on actually making a change to the wall to make a pocket door. I'm still planning out the door, and that was the reason I did this first. Always doing things backwards. It's kind of my MO. Here's what the little weld nails look like as they melt in, after they've been melted into the plastic, and you can see how the surface area of the locking pins gave me a little bit extra to melt into. Because the half slots are shelled out, there is still quite a bit of flex in this. If you want to print it, and I will have the files down in the description, linked to my Cults 3D page. I am doing a shelled and non-shelled half slot for those who want more rigidity. With having 3 different size spacers, you can pretty much adjust this to almost any size you want, depending on how you want to put the slots in what kind of pattern. If you're going to use a plastic welding repair kit, don't be a dummy like me and wear the proper PPE. That means you should be wearing some sort of respirator, because the fumes in this thing are not good for your health. I'll use the excuse that I had decent ventilation, but still I think a respirator would have been to my benefit. The other thing is, wear long sleeves and gloves. I just scratched myself right there as you saw me flip it over. Those little nails stick out and they are painful. Here I'm just looking to see just how flexible it still is, and under its own weight it's doing a pretty decent job here, but I noticed that there were still a couple spots that could use some extra stability, so I went in and I added some more weld nails, and now I'm flush cutting them off. Make sure you have a good flush cutter. The closer to the surface the better, and being able to actually be strong enough to trim the nails without ruining the cutter is a plus. Don't use the one that comes with the kit. If you get the one off Amazon, that flush cutter it's crap. Now my biggest mistake of the entire project: putting uncured UV resin across these unsealed seams. It seemed like an idea that was really good at the time, but what I didn't think about was that UV resin that's underneath the area I'm curing isn't cured, and it is seeping from the front to the back, from the top to the bottom, and just sitting there waiting to come back to haunt me in the future. But at this point in time, I didn't realize that, and I'm thinking this is looking really good. So I start to sand it. Big mistake number 2. Sanding UV cured resin that you cure by hand and not knowing exactly whether or not you got it fully cured. I'm breaking through and there's microscopic little bits of resin that are not cured that I'm sanding over. That's getting thrown into the air, and you don't want to be doing that, because that stuff's getting in the air, it's getting in your lungs, it's getting on your skin. It will cause rashes, it will cause health issues. So be very, very careful when messing with this nasty stuff. Here I'm putting a coat of automotive primer and sanding it down, not knowing that I created an issue with the way I did the UV resin that will come back to haunt me in a few hours here. So I sand this down, and then I am going to take it out and I'm going to paint it a dark gray using a Rust-Oleum rattle can. This is like 6:30 in the morning. It's kind of cold outside, and the can, I warmed it up, but I thought, oh, it'll work, and it was a little tacky, and I was chalking it up to the weather. I think it was the reaction between all the different materials that I was using, and not giving plenty of time for everything to dry, and not knowing that the UV resin was not dry. I printed up these little PET slot fillers. The white PET it's actually somewhat translucent, so if you put a light behind it, it will shine through. I am not intending on putting a light in just yet, but I did test it, and I was happy that if I want to put one in, I can. I did have to use activator to get it to stay in place. The CA glue on PET does not seem to want to cure just by itself. Here it is hanging up for test fit. I let this sit for a day, and the next morning there were puddles of the UV uncured resin that leaked overnight. I had to completely redo the one you see on the left. There it is. You can see how the panels are in 2 pieces. I cleaned that up, sanded it, made sure I sealed it, and here it is sitting in place, just temporarily held in place with a few screws until I get to making the door. Thanks for watching.